So, hello everybody, hello, and hello. It's me again, your favorite registered nurse, psychiatric nurse for that matter, Grace Otieno here. And today I'm here for something very different, something very needed but very different. That is, I know I've talked about quite a number of conditions. That is basically we're still on neurodevelopmental conditions, and I've talked about communication disorders, intellectual developmental disorders, and autism spectrum disorders. So on neurodevelopmental disorders, we have two conditions left. That is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and obsessive compulsive disorder, which I'm not going to talk about today, but rather I'll talk about them tomorrow. So today I'm here to talk about how we should, or how we are supposed to live and help these people live a near normal life. Basically, management of patients with psychiatric conditions. So basically, all we have to say, one thing that we have to agree on is that there is no permanent medication. These people need management. They can't recover. They will live with this condition for the rest of their life. But all as medical practitioners, all that we can do, all that we should do, is to manage them and give them medication that can help suppress, especially if people, basically their emotions, it's the emotions that will be triggered, anxiety. So we will give them medications that suppress these emotions so that they can be normal, or have a near normal life, so that in case of an emergency, they are not all out there. So one thing that we have to do is, as much as we are going to talk about the patients, we must also talk about their caregivers, because as a practitioner who has been on the field for quite some time, one thing I know is that managing psychiatric patients is not an easy task. So imagine someone who has to stay with them every day, everywhere and anywhere. They basically have to teach them, manage their tantrums, be with them during their normals and during their low times. So it is quite difficult for them as well. So as much as we will be managing their patients, we should also figure out a way of making them believe that, or know that they are not alone in this journey, because they are not alone. We are a community, and as a community we should be there for each other. So one thing is medication. As I have said, for medication helps them to live a near normal life. Advanced education is another one. They will need advanced education. Let's say someone with intellectual developmental disorder. One thing that we learned is someone with intellectual developmental disorder will be a bit slower than their peers. So one thing that they will need is specialized education, and they will also need someone, a tutor or a teacher, that will be more patient with them, because you will be teaching other students something once or twice, but for them you will have to go out and beyond. You have to use props and a lot of stuff depending on what you're teaching at the moment. So for them, same to people with autism spectrum disorder, they'll need a separate institution, because for them, especially people who have profound, they'll need a specialized institution, because they cannot cope with their peers, same as their peers can also not be, in terms of learning, they can't go as slow as them, and they can't the patients can also not go as fast as the students, if I'm making any sense. And people with communication disorders. So when it comes to communication is basically everything. You have to listen to understand, to hear. You have to listen to hear, to understand. So it goes hand in hand with every topic. If you can't listen, you can't get what the teacher is saying. So they will also need advanced education. So for advanced education, all these students will need advanced education, depending with what the condition that they are suffering from or they have. Another one is therapy. They'll need all forms of therapy, that is individual therapy, group therapy, occupational therapy. They will require all these types of therapy depending on their age. If they're teenagers, they'll need a lot of individual and group therapy. For babies, it will be a lot of group therapy and a little bit of individual therapy for them to understand that they are different from the rest, and being different from the rest means their care is a little bit specialized. So that is basically it. And then we'll have to do a lot of research on how to, because the world is evolving, science is evolving, so as much as and also technology is here with us, so we can always figure out more ways of having these people in our community, living with them comfortably without making each other uncomfortable. And yeah, that is basically it. Research is here, science is here, technology is here, so a lot can happen with research. A lot of change can be made, and a lot of advance can be made. You know, some of these conditions require maybe monthly medication, not, yeah, but some will require monthly medication daily, or but with science that might change, or with technology that might change. But until then, we'll just have to use the management that we have always known and the management that we've always been used to. So that is basically. And medication, for medication basically helps these guys live a near normal life, because especially for people with autism, and for if you have communication disorder and profound intellectual developmental disorder, also medication comes in. But mostly for people with communication and intellectual developmental disorder, is basically therapy and advanced learning. For them is basically mostly that, and a lot of training and exposure to the community. But for people with autism, they need their anxiety managed. So yeah, because in case of any trigger, they'll go out and about, and it will be quite uncomfortable for them and their caregivers. So now the heroes in these stories are the caregivers, because the caregivers need a lot of care as well. They need a lot of therapy, and everyone around anyone who's taking care of any person with psychiatric condition or mental disorder, you need to be there for them in any way, because these people need all their care goes around the clock, not basically in the community. They also need care at their workplace for those who are already grown up, because you're not going, they'll definitely grow up. These conditions are diagnosed during childhood, but these people grow up, they are in our community, they are in our workplaces, they're in our churches. So we all have to know how to manage these people, and creating awareness. You know, you can't be in a workplace with someone with ADHD and you don't know about ADHD. So there has to be someone creating awareness about ADHD. So ADHD is basically attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So we need someone who creates awareness about ADHD in our offices, at home, in our communities. We always have those people in the villages who have who don't have access to information. So for them, they'll need a lot of awareness. You create awareness. You talk to them with the language that they understand, so that they may not believe. Some people believe in curses. Some people believe in, I don't know, you know how traditional people witchcraft. So we have to make these people in the rural areas understand that it is not witchcraft. This is a medical condition. It is there. It is genetical. That might not be the first or the last person in their family or in their community to have that condition, because it is genetic. So we have to create awareness depending in your community, in the offices. For people in urban areas, they have access to information because technology is here. We have the internet. But for people in the rural areas, they might not have access to information, and some of them some, not all of them, but some of them might lack the education required. You know, you don't have to go through medical school to know that there are mental conditions. Okay, you might not know them into details, but you just have to know there are people like this, there are people different from us, but they're in our community and we have to live them. And one thing I have to tell you is that when these people get to a stage that it's an emergency, they are a threat to the community. Okay, basically people with intellectual developmental disorder, communication, people with this condition, neurodevelopmental, might not be a danger to the people in their community, but you know, people with schizophrenia, people with bipolar might get to that. We will get to those conditions, but just for the context, people with this condition might get to a point that they are harm to themselves and they can cause harm to people around them. When they get to this point, then there's something called the emergency admissions. You can take them to a mental institution. It is not a bad thing that these conditions are there. We should not stigmatize these people. These people are in our communities. We have to take them. It's called an emergency admission. It is there in our constitution, so don't worry about it. It is not like forcing someone who's an adult to do something that they don't, because it is there because these people can't make a conscious decision. Sorry about that. They can't make a conscious decision at the moment, so they'll need someone to decide for them at that moment, so that they need an emergency admission. So that is basically it. So people who take care, so I'll really emphasize on their caregivers because it is overwhelming, that I know. I really want us to be there for them, help them live a near normal life, or help them live a normal life, and help them know that we are here for them. We understand them. We don't stigmatize them. We are here for them. We always have their back, and that is all about today. Like basically management, how to live with these people and how to cope with them in our society. So the big point here is understanding them first, understanding them and identifying them and understanding them, and then the rest will always fall into place. So that is all for today, my people. So don't forget. One, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Two, don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment, and don't forget to share. Let us grow together. Let us spread awareness about mental illness. Let us spread awareness about psychiatry, because these people are here with us and we have to live with these people. These people should not face any type of stigma. So bye everyone. Thank you for always staying with me, and I believe I'll get more people with your share. So subscribe. The big point here is to subscribe so that we can create the awareness that we are all talking about. In case you have any question, you can ask on the comment section, and I'll always be here to reply to your questions on the comment section. So basically that is all for today, and bye. See you on the next video.